Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the Voice of Reason. Today, we're continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. So, first, before we delve into the Avdiivka front, there has been information coming out. It is slowly being disseminated on mainstream media. And that is regarding the intelligence agencies of the United States apparently have awareness, have intelligence about the prospects of the Russian Federation deploying nuclear weapons in space designed to destroy satellites, designed to bring down communication networks. Now look, this has been a strategy. This has been in the works since the early 1990s and even before. All major nation states, the United States, the Russian Federation, the People's Republic of China, the United Kingdom, France, Germany to some extent, all have viable strategies of space denial. So this is nothing new. Now, is this something that, in terms of communications that could have been intercepted, in terms of what the Russians are planning in case of a third world war? And believe me, we are continuing to head in that direction. We have focused alliances being formed. The tribes are preparing for war. And this is what happens. Again, I don't believe at this point it's anything new. It's an existing strategy. It's existing technology. But you have to wonder, again, has the Russians put in place a definitive strategy in case war breaks out with the United States? And I would say, yes, that's ongoing. That's happening. I think the United States is now coming to the conclusion that the Russians are serious, that they are not going to allow the forward deployment of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization into what was a core state of the former Soviet Union. Not going to allow it, and that's why we're seeing this war. Now, the ongoing battle for Avdiivka, I've got to kind of make it short today. I have some things I have to take care of, but the Avdiivka pocket is seriously collapsing. We are now hearing official reports that the Ukrainians are withdrawing forces from Avdiivka. They've moved in plug-in forces designed to allow for the retreat of those remaining Ukrainian forces in the ever-collapsing Avdiivka pocket. Some will get out, some won't. At the end of the day, Avdiivka is going to fall. And now we're hearing reports that the Russians are looking at a number of other locales for even greater offensive operations. It's possible that the Russians are setting up conditions for an advance upon Orikhiv, this locale here. And this would make sense. We're hearing about a buildup of Russian forces south of Orikhiv. This is where the Ukrainians mounted the very unsuccessful summer counteroffensive in which they were strategically and tactically defeated on the battlefield by Russian forces, resulting in massive amounts of casualties for the Ukrainian side and a lot of egg on the face of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the United States who tried to set up this operation. Now, the blame has fallen on the shoulders of Zaluzhny, and he is no longer commanding the Ukrainian armed forces. Now, that's kind of where we're sitting at. We're watching the fall of Avdiivka very, very closely. The Russians are enveloping forces in essentially various locales, and the noose is tightening. And the last redoubt is going to be this locale here. Again, the large Soviet apartment blocks that have been fortified by the Ukrainians. Eventually, the Russians will completely encircle both this and what remains of Avdiivka under Ukrainian control. There were some forces down here that are being encircled by Russian forces. We anticipate that this grouping of Ukrainian forces will be destroyed and eliminated. And then finally, the Russian forces will seal off the coke plant and starve those forces out that exist both at the coke plant, the industrial facility to the northwest, and Avdiivka proper. But this is it. The fall of Avdiivka is happening. It's real. Unless there's some sort of miraculous counterattack by Ukrainian forces, the Russian pressure campaign is being very successful and is concluding in Avdiivka. Furthermore, the bombing campaign by Russian forces is at an all-time high, meaning fixed-wing aircraft attacking Ukrainian positions. Essentially, over the last a day or so, the Russians have launched more than 100 to 150 air sorties against Ukrainian forces. About 50 of those sorties were within the Avdiivka area of operations. So we're seeing a lot more Russian glide bombs, a lot more Russian precision-guided GLONASS systems, much like the U.S. JDAMs. Again, this is the Russian doctrine changing, the Russian technology changing. It is adapting to the war that is currently in. And we'll continue to see this, and we'll also continue to see the buildup of the Russian military. And eventually, I predict we will see some very large offensive operations by the Russians that will cause the Ukrainians some serious, serious issues. Probably along the same lines as the early part of the conflict in which we started to see mass maneuver operations. I think we'll see that again and again. A lot of this will be dependent upon the deployment of U.S. assistance. We're just starting to see the small diameter bomb being launched from HIMARS. That's a very effective system. We know that Belgorod was recently attacked. Some civilians were killed in Belgorod, but we'll see as desperation sets in on the Ukrainian side, and we will see the deployment of these long-range, small-diameter bombs, along with probably ATACMS as well, and other European systems that have been delivered. So that's where we set for today. More to come very, very soon. As always, thanks for joining us. Have a good day.